Before the video starts, I just wanted to let you know that this video is sponsored by Electronic Arts. I don't give game reviews, I'm not paid to give positive reviews or anything like that, but just wanted to give you that disclaimer. And I also want to let you know that this is the early alpha tech test. Pre-alpha tech test is what they call it. I guess they're going to do more work on the game, which is appreciated by myself, a gamer. And if you want to learn more about getting yourself into a early tech test, I have a link in the description if you want to try out Titanfall 2 for yourself. Highly recommend clicking that. And now let's get into the video with my random commentary. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Titanfall 2 gameplay. I recently flew to Los Angeles to play Titanfall 2 with many other YouTubers. I'm sure you've seen some of the gameplays posted on YouTube in the past couple of days. I was there with some friends that you've seen in videos before, Speedy Hobo Legion, and some other people that I only really see at events, but it's cool to see them. Vic, Nate Shot. Who else? Well, the developers were cool. It was cool to talk to them. The EA people are always very nice. X Factor, Rival X Factor, a lot better at video games than I am. And we usually fly on the same plane because he is from the Ohio area, and he's close to the Detroit airport, and I'm close to the Detroit airport. So we fly on a plane together. Plenty of cool people were at the event. And Titanfall 2 is an interesting title to me, coming out in the fall. I remember the first Titanfall. I was super hyped for that event. And I'm sorry if you don't understand the context of this video. I don't know if I really understand it either. I wanted to talk about the game a little bit, but talk about my experiences surrounding the game as well. I'm using an EPG in this first game. It basically shoots balls of energy. And that was interesting to me. I didn't do great with it. Well, I did better at the second half of the game, which is why I cut most of the first half of the game out of this footage. But it was really fun to use, honestly, even though it was slightly challenging. I like things that end another person's life in one hit. I don't have to put in the extra effort. That was always a struggle for me with Halo. You got to put in a lot of effort to kill people unless you're using a sniper rifle or a shotgun. And I like things that end their lives quickly. Call of Duty, your life has ended pretty quickly, sometimes to the point of frustration, extreme frustration on my part. But, you know, I like the EPG when it works. And the next gameplay you're going to see that I'm going to mix in around the halfway point of this video is pilots versus pilots. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but that was one of my gripes about the first Titanfall game, was that there wasn't enough human on human combat. And what I mean by that is me versus another player. There was a lot of grunts, are what they're called, and I guess Titans that are AI controlled, so Titans can just kind of walk around the battlefield without the pilots in them. And there's a specific game mode in Titanfall 2 that is pilots versus pilots, and I really like that because I remember when the first Titanfall came out, I was so excited about that concept. First of all, the team that makes the game, Respawn, is a team behind some of the most iconic games that I loved, that made me really fall in love with console gaming. You know, the original Call of Duty games that really blew up, 4 and Modern Warfare 2. And I was actually lucky enough, this was kind of an intimate event. I was lucky enough to talk to a lot of those people, and I was just sitting down eating a salad, and I'm like, sitting next to this guy, and I like talking to strangers. I've gotten a lot better at it as I've gotten older. I do have a very awkward persona, but I'm genuinely interested in people, so if I can communicate with people and get the ideas that are from their brain, you know, it's a matter of figuring out how to do that, but sometimes I can sit down and act like a real adult. And I was eating a salad next to this guy. It was the only open table, and he had a cool haircut. So I'm like, all right, I'll sit down next to cool haircut guy and eat a salad. And, oh, I had pizza too. That makes me sound like I'm a health nut. I had 4 pieces of pizza and a salad. But you start with the salad to get the healthy fix in. And I was like, so what do you do on the game? And he told me, and because there's a single-player campaign in this game. I believe he was involved in the single-player. See, I already forgot. I guess he didn't leave an impression on me in that regard. But he talked about his previous experiences in video games, and he said that he led the design and storyline around the No Russian scene in Modern Warfare 2, and that is one of the most iconic campaign missions in video games, I would say. Iconic for controversial reasons, iconic for reasons of the storyline of Modern Warfare 2, and that kind of blew my mind. I remember playing that scene, and I was playing that mission in the campaign, and after, you know, the ending of No Russian, you get shot. No, in no Russian. And I was just, what the hell? This is crazy. Yeah, that was just, you know, video games are a medium like movies, music, books, and usually they're meant to tell a story. You can do a few different things within the medium, but the medium works really well when you're telling a story. And that is a crazy storyline. That is a good chapter in the book of Modern Warfare 2, the digital shooty book of Modern Warfare 2. And it was cool to know that he worked on that. I was sitting next to the guy, and it blew my mind when I was in college, and I had no idea what I was doing. Now, sitting next to that guy eating a salad. That was quite the aside. I didn't mean to go that far into into the story around being at that event, but it's just cool to meet people like that. And I really like the team behind Titanfall. Respawn is a cool studio to me. And this game, when it first was announced, I believe it was a launch title with the Xbox One. Was it an Xbox One exclusive? I'm pretty sure it was. Maybe it still is. I don't have a great knowledge of all these video game world things. The concept was awesome. And the movement system, too. That was kind of, it wasn't a new concept in video games, but running horizontally along the walls and just that advanced level of movement was really interesting to me. And I really loved the game when I first played it, but even the developers will admit this, the depth wasn't completely there. Like, the people, this is kind of a good problem to have. People say more, we want more. You know, you kind of felt like you were done with the game after a little while, and I would go back to it every now and then. I have a few, more than a few Titanfall 2 videos, or no, Titanfall videos on my channel, because I would play the game mostly alone. I played it with friends, and I was talking to X Factor, and he said that he's been playing it a lot with his friends lately. Maybe in the past couple of months, just rotating video games. Everyone rotates video games in and out, and he said for him it's a lot better with friends. For me, it was a lot better alone because there was a lot of scenarios in which you weren't necessarily just battling pilots. So I don't know really how to explain that, but I play a lot of video games alone, honestly. That is kind of my favorite way to experience them, playing games alone and then listening to podcasts. But I do like playing with my friends. They're different experiences that I enjoy a lot for different reasons. And in Titanfall 2, I feel like a lot of those issues were addressed. From what I could tell, just playing this early access alpha test, whatever they called it. And I really enjoyed the game. I don't play a lot of shooters anymore. I have this feeling that I've always been average at shooters. Sometimes I can be above average, but for the most part I am an average video game player, and that's kind of difficult for me on the YouTube scene. I don't really have anything to tell you about video games. My relation to you is the fact that I like video games, and if you're watching one of my videos you probably do as well, but I can't tell you anything you don't already know about the video game, because if you're watching my video, there's a 50% chance you're better than the video game. You're better at the video game than I am. So I do struggle with just posting games of me shooting things because I don't do it in some extraordinary manner. I have to make up for that by telling you something, telling a story, stuff like that. And I had a good experience with Titanfall 2. It's something I'm going to pick up when the fall hits. There's a lot of games coming out this fall. I felt like last year was a big year for video games, and I was thinking to myself, this is going to be a down year, but I find myself as excited as I was in the fall of 2015, I guess, or the late summer, I should say. I find myself that excited right now. There's a lot of titles that I want to pick up. It helps that Battlefield 1 is coming out this year too, 2 big EA titles. EA is going to have a decent fall, I would say, especially with Madden too. I mean, Madden is quietly one of the best selling, and not so quietly, but people don't think about it. It's a huge selling game every year, and I'm a big Madden fan myself, but Titanfall 2 is definitely something that I'm going to put some time into. The pilots v pilots mode is great. If you're going to, play a first-person shooter, it's good to... It's a concept that has been done many, many times. You're not reinventing the wheel. You have to put your own personal spin on it. And this is a cool spin. A spin that I like. I'm not advocating for the game in any way. I'm not, paid to say this game is above and beyond. It's a game that I would play otherwise. if I wasn't playing it early, I'd want to check it out. Because I think it's going to get decent reviews. The single-player campaign looks interesting, too. The explaining the connections between pilots and Titans. The single-player gameplay, I think we watched, what was it, half an hour of gameplay from the single-player campaign, and it was pretty interesting. So I don't know if I'm going to play the single-player. It's sometimes, you know, it feels like a lot to go through a whole campaign. There's so much content you can consume nowadays. I mean, for me to read a whole book feels like a lot. For me to watch a whole TV show feels like a lot. If I'm one season behind, I probably will never watch it. I'm amazed that I made it through Breaking Bad. I never watched it during its original run, and it was such a great show that I watched it afterwards, but it took me a while because that's a long time to commit to something when there's so much other content to consume in the 21st century. But I'm definitely going to mess around in multiplayer and look forward to being very average with a lot of you out there. It's a fun game, but I mean, it was just a preview, so maybe when it launches, it will be terrible. But I don't think that will be the case. It's going to be a very good fall for video games. I'm sorry if this video was kind of pointless. It's rare that I can just turn on the microphone and talk and then think about myself talking for, how long has it been? 11 minutes? I didn't hate what I was saying. I feel like I'm getting better at just long-form talking, which is something I want to get better at. Now this is too meta. But yeah, Titanfall 2, pretty good game. Hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay and my random ramblings. Thanks for watching this video. Talk to you guys later. Peace.